Hi, I'm Dr. Aimie. Welcome to this blog video. Today we're talking about attachment disorder and how nervous system dysregulation is a key feature of attachment disorder. And this really comes out of the work of Dr. Alan Shore, and he developed regulation theory, which is this idea that infants develop a secure attachment through the interactions with their primary caregiver that regulate their nervous system. And so attachment disorder means that they also have a dysregulated nervous system that never developed and matured into a nervous system that can co-regulate well with others or self-regulate, and so needs other external things in order to be able to regulate the nervous system and calm itself down. And so let's look at a healthy nervous system. A healthy nervous system is something like this, where you get activation, but then you're also able to calm yourself back down. You get activated and calm yourself down. And this cycle happens many times throughout the day, and your system is able to respond when it needs to, and then is able to calm back down after the stress is over. This is a picture of an unhealthy or dysregulated nervous system, where not only does it get activated more frequently and more severely, more strong, but it also then gets stuck in activation mode. And another key feature of a dysregulated nervous system is the freeze response. And to understand the freeze response, let's go back and review how the nervous system responds in a trauma. A trauma response always has the first line of defense as the sympathetic activation mode. This is the fight or flight system, and it's always our first line of defense. If a situation is too overwhelming and we think we won't be able to survive, then our system switches from sympathetic to a parasympathetic freeze. This is called the dorsal vagal response, dorsal dive, freeze response. All of those terms are used to describe what happens, which is a shutting down of the system and kind of a collapse of the system. So it's the exact opposite of an activation where you're fighting and running. It's in the animal world, it's pretending to be dead. It's a freeze, it's a dissociation, and this is the second line of defense in a trauma response. What happens though is that through the freeze response, you leave this charged energy in your nervous system and in your muscles, where the initial message to fight or flight was there. And so this contributes long-term to a nervous system remaining dysregulated and not being able to coordinate and have a smooth response to it when it does get activated. And so this is what we need to work on healing in attachment disorder as well. Because in attachment disorder and all PTSD, there was both the initial sympathetic activation, but then there was a parasympathetic freeze that results in this chronic dysregulation of the nervous system. So how do we heal a nervous system? Part of the healing process is going to be releasing this charged negative stored energy in the nervous system and in the muscles. And an easy but powerful way to do this at home is to start just by stretching the muscles. The nerves are, of course, attached to the muscles, and so you stretch the muscle, you start to stretch the nervous system. And you'll notice that if you take 30 seconds out of your day, you stretch one muscle group. See, my system normally went to parasympathetic. You take that deep breath, which is always a sign of the parasympathetic, relax, calm mode, thrive mode, and you'll be able to switch your system from stress activation to a parasympathetic relax. It's one way to track kind of yourself and your nervous system, or your child's nervous system, is to just watch for that breath. It'll happen naturally. You don't have to force it. And when you see it happen, you're like, oh yes, there's my parasympathetic relax. I think it would be hard to do the stretching without having that parasympathetic shift. So it'll happen naturally, and just watch for it. The other powerful way to start to release and unfreeze the nervous system is through yoga. Yoga stretching reaches into the deeper muscles that simple muscle stretching will not. Especially the psoas muscle carries a lot of the sympathetic nerves, a big group of them there. And by stretching that, you start to unfreeze and release some of that. And so this should be done slowly. Whatever you start to do, start with stretching before you go to yoga. When you go to yoga, just start with some of the basic exercises. Don't do too much too fast, because remember, you're working with a dysregulated nervous system here. It's going to start to release this stuff, not always in the smooth, coordinated way. And so you'll want to go slowly, start to do this over a few weeks, and then build onto it until you're doing some of the more advanced stretches, the deeper stretches, the longer stretches, the more advanced yoga stretching. And the other important feature is that since this is working with the nervous system, you want to be there physically and emotionally with your child so that you can help them regulate their nervous system when they do experience shifts. And especially if these stretches are going to shift them into more parasympathetic, relax, socialize, you want to be there in those moments to capitalize on that, because that's when they're going to be more open to having fun and laughing and starting to build some of that attachment stuff with you. So these are key moments that you can use not only to heal their nervous system, but then to sneak in a few attachment and bonding activities as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and as always, I'm bringing you the information so that you can be equipped with the knowledge and tools to be confident.